welcome to another Community Safety and Security Forum here on the Serenity Resource Connector. We do this every second Thursday right here in partnership with the JCF Area 3 that consists of Clarendon, Manchester, and St. Elizabeth divisions. And we are going to be delving into taking a stand, community collaboration for crime reduction. And we are going to be talking to our Deputy Superintendent in charge of crime at the Criminal Investigation branch there in the Clarendon division. And already we have the Barnes who was on before 8 p.m. Welcome, Audley. It's great to have you. We have our president for the Business Watch, Stephen Leo, here with us. Hi, Steve. It's great to have you here. So I am Winsome Sharia-Witter, the executive producer and host for this program. And it's always a pleasure to share the different information from the different partners in this space as to what exactly they're doing and how you can be a part of enhancing the different initiatives in this space. If this is your first time tuning in, it is a pleasure to have you here, whether you're tuning in live or you're watching the replay. And just remember to go ahead and share the link so that others can watch. Either they're able to join us live or the recording will remain there so you can see what's happening. So we started this forum in 2022, where we went through the different areas of the JCF, starting with the Clarendon division. What are the different divisions that's there? How the police serving us, the different programs that are available. And we would have had discussion with the national coordinator for different areas, the police youth clubs, the neighborhood watch, we also have the Business Watch. We had discussion regarding the Jamaica Eye and so many other different programs that the JCF offers and how you can be a part of what it is that they're doing in your communities to keep us safe. So without any further delay, I am going to bring on our guest for this forum in the person of our Deputy Superintendent Clifton Green, who is in charge of the crime portfolio in the Clarendon division. But just to share a little bit about DSP Green, he has been in the JCF for 30 years. He has served in East Kingston, West Kingston, St. Mary, the CIB headquarters, Major Investigation Task Force, and he has also served as a sub-officer in charge of the gang unit at the Counterterrorism and Organized Crime Investigation Branch, CTOC for short, for 9 years. And he has been with us in Clarendon for the past 2 months. So, DSP Green, welcome to the Serenity Resource Connector space. On behalf of the business community and the Clarendon community in general, welcome to Clarendon.
Good night to you, Madam Chair Lady. Good night to you, members of on the platform, members of the Chamber of Commerce, members from the community, members of the media, other police officers, NGOs, elected representatives who may be on this program. If you hear me calling out these categories of persons, it means therefore you are part of what we call the Big Six.
Okay.
And we are the Big Six partners.
All right. Let's hear the Big Six again.
All right. So it is the community.
Yes.
It is the media, the police, NGOs, which are non-government organizations.
Right.
The business community, and elected representatives. Now, with a formidable force like this, crime and criminals, once we put our hands together, they have something that they will have to be running from.
All right. And that's why we say we're taking a stand, and we're doing this through community collaboration with the Big Six, through the Big Six. All right. So just to wrap up the introduction for DSP Green, when he's not fighting crime, he's actually playing musical instruments, and repairing electronics. So, our police officers are serving in different areas. And so we are happy to have you here, DSP Green. And we are going to be starting out with what currently is happening in the Clarendon division. And then we're going to take the discussion into what it is that the different groups can do to be a part of crime reduction in this space, this coming together to make a difference. All right, so let's start with the discussion on the current statistics in Clarendon.
All right. Thank you very much, madam. Uh, for the division of Clarendon, we are seeing some positives as far as the major crimes are concerned. The numbers that we're seeing to date do reflect some reduction in six of the 8 categories of major crimes. And only the murders and shootings are the groupings which we are still grappling with. I do believe that for a division like Clarendon, having different groups such as this particular um, discussion group, the business watch, the neighborhood watches, police youth clubs, the JPs, the church, we are seeing that once we can get behind this collective effort, we can reduce these murders and shootings to tolerable levels. Crime is something which human beings will always be drawn towards, but it's up to us, law-abiding citizens, to ensure that we do maintain collectively law and order. The partnerships which we seek to strengthen include getting neighborhood watches up and running, getting persons involved in actively utilizing their knowledge and their skill sets to assist law enforcement efforts as a collective effort to ensure that we live, sleep, and move about in peace. The statistics, as we see them, it does also show a significant effort by our men and women of the division, assisted by our partners, no doubt, in getting much of these crimes cleared up. Of note, though, there is something significant I want to use this medium to highlight. Looking at the table here, we see where the sexual assault, the rape, we're seeing where there is a slight reduction as compared to last year. However, what we're seeing is a very troubling trend. I don't know what the taxi men are drinking. I don't know, Madam Chair, what they are buying from the other, business persons and they are drinking. But what we're seeing is that the taxi men are the main perpetrators of many of these sexual assaults. All right. So if we can use, especially within the business community, use whatever medium we can to try and reach out to these sets of persons to desist from, especially the young girls. We're seeing where they are, lured into all different kinds of situations. And this is something I do believe we can speak to persons, we can try and get into their brains, get into their minds, let them understand that, yes, you have daughters and you have younger sisters, things like those, to have them understand the significance, the magnitude, of their actions against our future, So, that being said, there are some things which we are doing relative to the murder rate and the shooting rates and so on. We have been in recent times, and I we just want to pause here at this juncture just to highlight that over the past few weeks, past 2 weeks thereabout, we have made significant inroads into degrading at least one particular gang and its membership. And you would probably have heard some news within the parish of some of the persons who we do believe have been murdering people and have been extorting people and doing things like those. We have arrested some of those persons and we continue our efforts. I can't speak to the methods and means of how we're doing our operations and how we're making these efforts. But I also want to assure you that with the continued cooperation and the continued support from the communities at large, the other partners in the Big Six, yes, I can assure you that at the end of this year, God's willing, you'll be seeing a much more, for want of a better word, quiet and peaceable Clarendon division for all of us to be basking in and to raise our families in.
That's very commendable in terms of the work, and we understand and appreciate that there are some things you can't share. We just have to, and I'm sure that as citizens, what we want to see are the results more so than the methods that are taken to achieve those results. And we want to commend the team for what's been done so far. All right. There are some figures in red. Not seeing it clearer from where I am here, but in terms of the percentages, you want to take us through some of those? Any significant ones that you want to highlight?
All right. So what we're seeing is for so far for the category 1 crimes, the total reported cases for 2023 of these serious crimes amount to 196, with 57 of these crimes being cleared up for this year. Additionally, there were 20 for previous years. So a total clear up of 77 of these cases have been cleared up this year. You know, we're seeing that it represents quite a bit of an advance over last year, where there were 222 major crimes reported up to this point in the year. So we're seeing a reduction overall. And we also we're seeing quite a bit of an advance in getting these cases cleared up. And by clearing up, I mean arrests and charging or placing matters before the court, or otherwise holding persons accountable for these crimes. So it does show the effort. It does show, the collaborations working. So it is something that we would like to encourage the partners to help us to continue, because it is in our best interest, all of us, to ensure that the numbers go down as far as the reports are concerned. Even so, we're trying as best as possible to push those numbers up when it comes on to clearing up those other crimes that we have on our books.
Okay. What are some of the challenges, though, in terms of clearing up the crimes so far? What are some of the challenges that you're having that the community can support you on? Welcome, right. Beverly.
All right. So what we do see from time to time is there is a reluctance by some persons to, participate in procedures which are so designed to ensure that we capture information from them, and this information, the clearing of these cases is contingent upon that information we get from persons, whether by way of persons being witnesses or complainants, things like those. That is very significant to us. And we are seeing that sometimes persons are reluctant in getting us to where we want to be in that threshold to get these cases cleared up. Also, we also, look at the fear factor too, that persons sometimes express. So we have been trying, in a very strong way, to reassure these persons by our actions and by also, allowing them to see that we are transparent in what we do, right? So it is really something that, there is no, I would say, there's no one main reason, so to speak. People, for different reasons, they do not want to come forward. But we're trying to encourage persons to help with this particular process.
All right. We've seen where there's been some additional training as it relates to investigative skills that has been taken place in recent months. I'm not sure the JCF. Have we had officers from our division trained in that area?
I must hasten to say that we have been the recipient of significant amount of training, Clarendon, and we must thank the High Command for the JCF in recognizing the need to improve our product. And over time, we have been getting that level of support in getting persons trained. Even in the coming week here, we have a significant number of persons going on a particular training course, which will no doubt at the end of it be a significant boost to our capabilities within the division. And of such, we are grateful for it, and we are always seeking ways to build out the capacity of the membership, just to ensure that service delivery is positively affected or positively impacted, by how we, we respond to the needs of the public.
Awesome. What about technology? Have we benefited from any of the advanced equipment and things of that nature in terms of our CCTV? Any improvement in that area in recent times?
Well, without giving away too much, the JCF, generally speaking, has afforded us, and the JCF and its partners have afforded us quite a significant amount of support as far as our crime fighting efforts are concerned, and we have been using that to good effect. Good, strong partnerships, both locally and internationally, are being leveraged as we speak, just to ensure that we get the maximum effect. And we do believe that there is scope to widen this particular network with the persons from the business community, especially. We're encouraging them to come on board, help. As a matter of fact, I must pause here to just say thanks to some persons within the business community and the private persons too, who have provided significant assistance to us, solving cases, saving lives, by their willing participation in our law enforcement efforts. I must say thanks to those persons. They will be remaining nameless for this point at this point, but some of them know who they are, and we continue to try and protect them as best as possible too, by keeping that information where it ought to be.
Right. That's really great. And that's one of the beauty about the Business Watch. And so we continue to encourage members of the business community across the parish to get connected to the Business Watch in terms of, and that's one way of supporting the initiatives of the police, because the police cannot be everywhere, because no matter how many of them are dispatched, they will never be everywhere. And so we have to be the extended eyes on the ground to support, and must applaud the members of the business community who have been sharing suspicious activities directly through the that group to ensure that the police are able to get the information and act on it in a speedy manner. All right. And our youth president for the parish is here, and he's asking how is crime rate among youth within the parish, and what are some ways I love that, Rajiv, what are some ways we can help to reduce crime among such?
That's a very good question coming from a very important grouping within Jamaica's landscape. Now, I have spent many years of my career reaching out to the younger minds, them being, number one, they're vulnerable. Number two, they represent the continued growth and development of this country. And of such, we have to protect those youngsters as best as is possible. What we do find, however, though, is that there are some youngsters, both male and female, they are sometimes misguided and misled, and they go into different directions, wrong directions, and they are only awakened by either a traumatic event or their encounter with law enforcement agents. Now, what we're encouraging is that, and we're seeing, well, let me just address the first part of the question. So what we're seeing is that a significant portion of our persons arrested are young persons, very young persons. And they, from what we are seeing, they are sometimes being used by other persons to commit crimes. So they are sometimes co-opted by other persons to help commit crimes. Sometimes they are victim of crimes as well. But we're seeing, especially in the past week, and I'm using that as a dipstick. For instance, there was a shooting, and the last sets of shooting and murders, the last, I would say 3, 4, they involve young people. And it means, therefore, the younger ones must learn to say no, try and find a way to get out of a situation which you think is going to land in trouble. And I can tell you this much, and I will use this opportunity, sir, Mr. Rajay, and other members on the platform, just to say that we intend to put the fight to crime in a very significant way, and we do not want the youth to be caught in the middle of our efforts to be sent to jail, or unfortunately sometimes they confront the police officers. We don't want that. So what we're encouraging the youngsters, join a youth club, join the police force, because it's a viable. I actually had reasons to speak to a group of 3 youngsters over the past, during the last week. So they came to apply for the job. I gave them a good 15 minutes of my time. I stopped in the passageway and I said, listen, gentlemen, I'm seeing some gaps here. Let me try and help you fix that, because I do believe your aptitude is correct. You're correct. You're on the correct trajectory. So I do want to encourage you to be a part of this system, the right side of the law. So I'm encouraging you to just go back home, get some things fixed up, and come back, because we do want quality persons. And I stress on the word quality, because I do want that when I happen to leave this organization, that there is a cadre of persons who are properly attuned to proper law enforcement and to the security of this nation. So whatever ways I can and I will be doing, I'll be continuing this effort too. Whilst I'm fighting the crime, I'll be the team and I will be continuing the efforts to ensure that we encourage persons to come over and join the JCF. I don't know if it's a uniform that, the new uniform some persons are attracted to or what we do, but I'm telling you, it's an organization that has several outlets, several different areas that one can come in and get involved with, as far as personal development is concerned, as far as getting trained overseas as well in other jurisdictions, getting different exposure, getting different views, and so on, build skill sets, and you are accredited too when you are exposed to some of these courses. Courses are plenty here in the JCF. We're not short, I would say, I dare say. We have many courses. Yours truly have been recipient of overseas courses, different countries. I even tried to speak Spanish in some other countries. All right. So what it does mean, and it gives you also interaction with different people, different cultures, so that we can look at the best practices. We can look at what can work for Jamaica, what has been working for these other persons. So the exposure is great, it's wide, and I would encourage young persons to just look at the JCF as a viable alternative to make some money too, because trust me, it's a very good paying job, I can tell you. It provides for the family. It provides also some security for you too as well, job security, because you will have to do something very wrong before you reach retirement age, before you are separated from the JCF. So it is somewhat a very sturdy alternative, and I encourage you. I'm happy Mr. Rajay put that question to start now. But thank you.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what I'm hearing is that the police youth clubs and the different organizations. Rajay is the president of the Parish Youth Council, which consists of all the youth groups in the parish, including the police youth clubs and the different groups in the schools and all those other areas. So one of the areas we're hearing is that you can encourage the young people to aspire to join the force so that they can be a part of the force for good.
So,
And another thing that I'm seeing here where Rajay is that from time to time, I know that Lennon and some of the high schools are used as a recruitment facility. So the different groups can mobilize young people from their communities to be a part of those training when they are available in this space. So you utilize the network to share that kind of information. And I'm sure that the team can come up with some other initiatives. So, and I'm sure DSP Green will be happy to hear some of the suggestions, because these are some bright young people, DSP Green. So I'm sure they'll be coming up with some more initiatives. Thank you for that, Rajay. We have Inspector Wallace. Commendations already for DSP Green, because he's new to the parish, doing an amazing job, all-rounder who is very supportive, and that is very important. And if we're talking about community policing, Kerry-Ann Case, who welcome this initiative. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Kerry-Ann. Always a pleasure. And she also has a question. Can we set up an app to report crimes or even suspicious activities in the different areas?
all right. So this particular question seems to be what I would consider to be maybe the highlight of tonight's discussions, because this now, I do believe, gives us an opportunity to modernize even more our ways of our means of communication. What we intend to do with this suggestion is to ensure that we speak with our community, with our CCU head, and make this representation to get the proper support, to get the proper guidance on this. This seems to be a very good suggestion, and I do believe that if we're able to get this up and running, then I can tell you the criminals will have a warm time in Clarendon, even more than they're having now.
All right, Karen. So we are going to be following up on that to see where that goes. It's awesome. And this is the kind of thinking we want to see happening in this space. All right. And see DSP documenting that. And she's
Yes.
sharing that police youth clubs and the JCF, the way to go. All right. Karen looks like she's representing for the police youth clubs. Keep those questions, suggestions, recommendations coming as we continue the discourse here. So, just to highlight that we have seen where the community groups have worked, and that's what we are talking about here. Because I remember back when we had COVID, those where we had that patient at the Maypen Hospital that had gone MIA, and there was this big thing about the search on, and it was actually technology that was used to actually assist the police because someone was able from a distance to actually capture footage of where exactly the individual was, and so that the situation was contained in short order. So this is one way where the community has been supporting using technology, and that's what we want to continue to encourage. Any other along that line, DSP, have you seen any other area where technology has helped in any of these spaces that you have been in that we can adopt here in Clarendon?
All right. So I am. I was pleasantly surprised when I came into the division, and I looked at the infrastructure which is there, and I do believe that CCTV, they are there in abundance. It's just enough to get the persons who are in control of these setups, these these CCTVs. So it's just for us to have them get the buy-in to all law enforcement efforts and to help provide a wider range of cross-section of support. So I, technology as we know it, this particular suggestion a while ago would no doubt, in addition to what we have discussed so far, would no doubt broaden that scope. Um, but the WhatsApp groups, the community neighborhood watches, the WhatsApp groups, if we could get those up and running, if we could get as you know, even sometimes, getting wider audiences even. But this particular effort though gives us a wide cross section as well too. So I'm really trying to figure out which other way we can add to that particular discussion with the technology. But I do believe we're doing a good job just to ensure that the fringes are brought on board, just to make sure that we build out a better product.
All right. And we can confirm that the WhatsApp groups are up and running in terms of the parish network. There's been a lot of effort in terms of building out the neighborhood watch group throughout the parish. And as indicated earlier, the business watch group is up and running, but we just need to ensure that more people from the business community are part of that so that we can have a wider coverage. All right, Carrie Ann, Inspector Wallace is asking if the Stay Alert app still works.
Well, pardon me, but I am not so sure I can speak on that Stay Alert app thing there. I don't think I am off as much to speak on it just now, but I can check and make the results known to this group at some other point.
All right. Just to share from the JIS in terms of the Stay Alert app. So the app was designed to allow citizens to contact the police for assistance, and all information sent through the Stay Alert app is anonymous. So that would be great to find out if it still works. It's available in Google Play. So we could probably test it to see what's going on with that. It's still on Google Play out of the Ministry of National Security for Jamaica. so we can test that out and see if it still works. All right, welcome, Claudette. It's great to have you here. So keep the questions coming. And I know that this CSSB, the Community Safety and Security Branch, has been doing a lot of work in the community, the schools. I know there have been numerous visits to schools for the different programs, and we have to make sure we keep the young ones in tune. We have a number of police youth clubs in our infant schools, and we want to make sure we keep those going, because that's a part of the network that we're talking about in terms of the collaboration, because we have to make sure that the younger ones are aware of these different initiatives and how they can be a part. We'd be surprised of some of these little ones, the kind of support they can offer in terms of suggestions, because they soak up things like sponge, and they'll be able to share some things with you that we might not even be thinking of. So we want to continue to engage them in that regard. All right. Any other way you can think of, or while we wait on other suggestions, questions, recommendations from the,
So-
please keep those coming. Any other area that the groups can work on? I know that the team has been out there in terms of supporting the youth groups to reactivate. What
Right,
other
so-
areas, CSV?
All right. So we have seen also that there seems to be there's a trend really that has to do with pre-deal larceny, and that is something which I do believe is of worth to be mentioned at this point. That some of the communities are suffering from incidents happening surrounding pre-deal larceny. Much of it remains unreported. What we do want is for persons to make some communication. Let us establish some lines of contact with our CSSB or with yours truly relative to some of these issues that we are having. Because we are seeing too that many of the murders do come from persons accusing persons of stealing cattle as well. We are also seeing persons, engaging in reprisal murders, persons doing, something happened last year and then this year or at around the same time, then somebody from the other family is attacked or killed, things like those. People will be having issues, no doubt, but we're encouraging as best as possible those on this platform just to send the word out. Let us try and find some ways of resolving many of these issues that we have. We're seeing persons just doing things that are popping up all over the place. Murders are popping up all over the place. And when you check it out, people have interpersonal conflicts. And, we no doubt are trying as best as possible to craft a strategy to reach to persons. This particular medium, we're thankful for it, and I'm sure that it is impacting a wide cross section of persons, and we intend to broaden our scope of communication to the parish itself. We use as best as possible all different media and whatever megaphones we can get to appeal to persons, because there are instances of domestic violence as well that we're seeing coming through. There are instances where persons decide to listen, man, most of these crimes are committed by persons who know each other, and that is a frightening aspect of what we have to deal with on a daily basis. So we just want to encourage persons to get whatever support that they need from the JPs, from some of the business leaders, from persons who are who they see as influential persons in the community. And I'm not talking about the violence producers, no, because they are most often self-serving in their attempts to try and cry peace and things like those. But they are respected persons within the different communities, who we can reach out to, persons can reach out to get some of these conflicts resolved. You know, we are not short of well, there are police stations right across Clarendon division, and the numbers are listed. 119 is there. Mr. Brown, the SP Brown and his team, the CSSB team, they have been doing quite a good job in reaching out to persons in the communities. A few weeks ago, we had a walkthrough done by Lionel Town, and the JCF band was there, and we had a concert in the streets there. And I can tell you the responses were really great, and I'm really heartened by how the community has responded up to this point from that particular interaction. We intend to continue these interactions because I do believe that people want to see the police in their spaces. People want to interact with the police as human beings in their spaces, not just an entity seen on television or seen just passing by, cursorily passing by. So we intend to create many more of these opportunities for personal interaction with the communities, because I do believe that if proper communication takes place with the people, then the people will understand the impact that crime, especially murders, have on our communities. I know people, they look at parties, they look at dance, they look at, social events. And we're seeing where just a few persons with their bad thinking have caused entire communities to be shut down, persons to be living not what they are expecting to be enjoying in life, not to that standard, all because of a few.
Always just a few.
Few.
Yes, it takes just a few
Yes.
to make meaningful change, and it takes just a few to destroy the efforts of those well-thinking Jamaicans. All right. Inspector Wallace is suggesting that if the community support victims at court, then more convictions can be gained. So,
Yes.
yeah, support, yes, in general, because it's easier to get through things when we have support than without it. And there's a victim services unit in the parish.
Yes.
And we also, even before it gets to that stage, there's a dispute resolution as well. We have restorative justice. There are a number of entities in this space that we can seek support from, and we'll seek to have more of this information sharing on those entities, so you can know exactly what it is that they do and how you can access the services that they provide. And if it is that you know someone who you can recommend to get support from these different entities before it even escalates to them getting to the court aspect of things. All right. So we have talked about quite a bit in terms of the different areas. Thanks for the recommendations, the suggestions, the questions that were posed. And if you joined us after, DSP Green would have shared some figures up to this month as to it relates to some of the crimes in this space. And so we were discussing in terms of how the community can collaborate for crime reduction. All right. So we have a little time left, and I want for you, DSP Green. We're talking earlier about encouraging the young people to be a part of the force. And I was sharing with you before we came on that what I've seen over the years when we have careers day across the country, I think the police is one of the most predominant profession that's represented there. And as you said earlier, you don't know if it's the uniform, right?
Yes.
Because there was a time when it was just the red stripe that you would see, but now you're seeing these are the people in the khaki, so they're paying attention.
Yes.
So just share. I think one of the things that I think maybe based on time constraint, it's condensed so they don't get a lot of what it takes for them to be a part of the different positions, the different divisions in the space in terms of preparation for your specific um, area that you're serving in now. If there's a young person who is joining us now, or someone will be watching the replay that wants to find out how they can be a part of the CIB or one of those areas, what would you share with them in terms of preparation to get there?
Right. So I just want to acknowledge the first part of your comment first, um, and that is the career days. Um, and what we do know is that the persons who make these clothes, the ones who make the police clothes, I think they make more money than any other person, any other. Yes. So I would want to see those dressmakers, after all these things, you know. I've seen it, and I do believe it's an encouraging sign, and that is why we can't stop now. We need to encourage more and more those youngsters to get on board, those persons with good intent, those persons who wish Jamaica well, to get on board and to be a part of a vibrant Jamaica Constabulary force. Now, I do believe that this is what this is one of the organizations that provides quite a bit of opportunities, different training, as I spoke on before. However, when one gets in and there is a leaning towards a particular aspect of the profession, then there are areas which will enhance that person's capability. There's training geared at all different levels, to get a person's. For instance, somebody. Well, then again, too, there are persons who come in with different skill sets. Persons who are proficient in the maybe teaching, proficient in cyber crimes training, things like those. Persons with military skills too, because there are persons who come over from the JDF as well. So all these, once a person, and it is something that is dependent too upon the needs of the force, and where the commanders see the particular need as well. So it is a delicate balancing act. But there are times when persons show certain amount of interest in a particular direction, and they are enabled to continue their progress towards building out that specific skill set, so that the JCF can benefit, from his or her, engagement. So there are different aspects, and the persons, coming in, they have an opportunity to have discussions with um, senior persons, to get the proper guidance, to get the proper what did I say? The proper compass, if they so wish, in moving in a particular direction, and the support as well. There's a K9 unit. There is the there are different parts of the JCF. The CIB, for instance, we are usually, well, the CIB is usually it's comprised rather of a set of persons who are first and foremost of a particular, uh, what would I say now? The standards are of a particular, these persons are of a particular, I would say, way of thinking, their standards, their aptitude, their attitude, the integrity, very important. So it's not just for you to say you want to go somewhere and you automatically go there. There has to be some level of vetting, also some level of checking some backgrounds, things like those, just to ensure, because there are some parts of the force, as you would well imagine, which are quite sensitive. So even though we ought to be giving persons the benefit of the doubt, being members of the JCF and persons with integrity, joining us as a JCF. There are different layers of sensitivity to which persons can be exposed. The intelligence gathering arm of the force right across the board. Different areas. So it's not it is something which once persons have the correct set of attributes and they have that particular um, inclination, then support is given usually for development of that particular person's skill set so the JSF can benefit.
Okay.
Yes.
Karen mentioned earlier, as it relates to the Police Youth Club,
Yes.
and that's a great place to start because based on what DSP Brown has shared, a number of the individuals who have been through the police youth clubs have gone into the force and they would have been exposed to some of this information that you're sharing here in terms of developing certain aptitudes and attitudes to prepare them to get into that particular area. And they would,
Yes.
of course, when they're looking, they wouldn't have to be searching around for recommendation because they're a
Right.
part of that organization and they're able to get support. And one of the positive things through these different community groups, a lot of young people don't understand the power of being a part of these different groups. Because when you're searching around for recommendations, the justices of the peace can't just write a recommendation for you because they know your father or your mother.
There we go.
So when you're a part of these groups where you have the different groups coming in to share, then you're known because of your affiliation with these groups. And then based on that, then the officers would be able to write you a recommendation to say that you've been actively participating in this area. And based on what they've observed, you're of a certain character. And so you're able to get your character reference and all of those good things. And not just our young people, even the grown adults, because we need the adults to guide the younger ones so you can be a part of to go in and make these different presentations to be a part of the personal and professional development in the different groups. All right. Thank you, Shakira. Thanks for joining. All right. So so, even outside of this discussion, for those who might be watching the replay, please go ahead and leave your comments at the end of this video if you found it useful. Not just in the live, but you can leave a comment on the YouTube page. Subscribe, of course, because the more subscribers we have, the more people will be able to see and they can leave the comments and share the link so others can get the information as to and make your recommendations and it will be passed on for action in as to different areas. Karen made an awesome suggestion in terms of the app, and Inspector Wallace reminded us of the app, the Stay Alert app that was introduced some years ago, and we want to check that out to see if it's still active. The features that are there, because maybe it could use a little updating now with AI and all of those good stuff. And so it's another area that the young people, if you're so inclined, can make recommendations as to how that can be improved. We can pass it on so that we can improve the communication in the space. And that's one way you can support the team, as DSP Green indicated, that you're seeking to improve on communication in the different areas. And we're looking forward to seeing the different performances. We want to see the SP Green playing one of those instruments. If you agree with me, put it in the chat. We want to see the SP Green and the other officers coming out, playing their instrument and showcasing the talents that the Lord has blessed them with. Yes, the Police Youth Club and the Parish Youth Council doing an awesome job. And we want to continue to encourage them. They were able to reactivate over 4 clubs for the first quarter of this year. They did indicate that they were going to be reactivating. As a matter of fact, not the first quarter. We had the first discussion, or Youth in Action was the 5th Thursday, was the end of the first quarter. And by the end of second quarter, when they came back on, we had reports that they had reactivated over 4 youth clubs. And we thank them for ensuring that they It sounds like Inspector Wallace went through the Police Youth Club and she's now an inspector. And we would have, anyone who is connected to Inspector Wallace would have seen her certificates of the different trainings that she has been on. So that was confirmation that the JCF offers a lot of courses that you can benefit from. So you continue to learn as you serve, right, DSP Green? Not to mention the opportunity to travel.
There we go. There we go.
Amazing. All right. Any upcoming activities in this space?
Well,
Aware of?
well, we have some meetings that we are planning with the groups, the groupings, the neighborhood watches, and so on. That is significant as far as our push, our effort is concerned. And in doing so, we're encouraging the police-public partnerships as to strengthen the community-based networks as part of the plan to reinforce crime prevention. So that is what we have primarily on the agenda to improve those communications and to have these meetings much more established as we go along. So I think Mr. Brown, though, DSP Brown, would be in short order providing a better timetable as far as what CSSB has in collaboration with what the CIB has as well. And we integrate those and we ensure that we push. So, down the line, you'll be informed of a timeline and some of the events that we do have in that regard.
Fantastic. And the different groups can help by sharing throughout the network. So you have more people participating in those activities as you go into the communities, so they can feel the police on the ground. As I was in Maypen some time ago, and there was like a police invasion, and the business community was happy because there was some concern some time ago. They weren't feeling or seeing the police, and almost every business you went in at some point that day, there was police present on the ground, and I'm sure they felt good right there in Bargain Village and along the stretch. And a number of businesses have reported that they have been getting the visits from the police and signing off on their books. X-Factor, always great to have you here. Partnership is key as we move forward, and the various groups will help build police-citizen relationships. Amazing. Thank you, X-Factor. Always have some invaluable contribution to share here on the Serenity Resource Connector. All right. I'm sure for those who did not hear, DSP Green has been in the Clarendon division for the past 2 months. So he's relatively new. So this is his introduction, virtual introduction in this space. He has been on the ground, but I'm sure a lot of us would not have seen him because the parish is just so vast and he can't be in every nook and cranny, but we continue to use different platforms so that you can be aware of the different officers in the space who are leading the charge, how you can support them as we move forward together, taking a stand, and as we collaborate as communities to reduce crime. All right. Alert Police Youth Club camp starts on Sunday. How long does that last? Inspector Wallace, how long does the camp last? So we want to get the information out so we can get as many young people on board as possible, or is it just for the enrolled members of the Police Youth Club? We can share that information so others can be more aware of what's going on. All right, good job, Super. I just love this team support in Clarendon Division. Thank you so much, DSP Green. I know you have a lot of stuff to do. Thank you for making the time to be here to share in this space, and we'll continue to keep the communication going. Just remember, subscribe to the channel, share the information, There is a whole lot more in terms of the different discussions that we have had, not just on community safety and security, but we have culture corner, we have municipal corporation, where you hear from the different councillors in the division. JP Goldburn, thank you for joining us from up there in Chapelton. Partnership with the police at the community level is important in fighting crime. Indeed. Awesome note on which to close this discussion. All right. Oh, the youth camp lasts for a week. Awesome. All right. Thank you all for tuning in, whether you were able to join us live or watch the replay. See you same time, same place next week as we continue to share what's going on in our space where development is concerned, culture, safety, security, community development, parish development, local government develop, all of those development that's taking place in the space. Youth development, I just love the youth aspect of it. We can't leave out the youth. Every area that we touch on, the youth have to be involved. Thanks again, and you all continue to stay safe. See you same time, same place next week, if the Lord tarries. Have a great one.